There's an old Hollywood Undead song that goes something like this: Hollywood is never going down. Well, guess what? It's going down in more ways than one. The entire corporate industry is going down, actually. But let's just go ahead and get into it. From the critical drinker, Hollywood's rough start to 2025, and it'll probably get worse. Oh, it's definitely gonna get worse.
Oh dear, 2025 isn't getting off to a great start, is it? Especially if you happen to work in Tinseltown. I mean, the first quarter of the year generally isn't filled with too many box office juggernauts. January and to some extent February are well known as dump months, where studios shart out the malformed runts of the litter that they don't expect to have a chance against the big hitters in summer movie season. The reasons for this are pretty obvious. Everyone's broke after the festive season, and
I've seen clips of all of the movies he just showed online and not interested in a single one of them, which is very strange. Usually I'm interested in a few. There's nothing coming out that I can think of that I even want to go see or even want to view for free because I don't want to waste my time with it.
more concerned with losing those beer guts than shoveling overpriced popcorn down their gullets. The weather's still dark and cold most of the time, unless you're one of those weirdos who lives in Australia, but I don't trust a single one of them. And nobody's feeling particularly enthusiastic about dragging themselves to the movie theatre to shell out $100 to do something they could just as easily do at home for free. Now that's fine and all, but generally by March things have started to noticeably pick up. As the weather improves, people have more money again, and bigger and more interesting movies start to come out.
Really?
What bigger and interesting movies are coming out? Somebody leave down there in the comments if there's anything good coming out. And it's not just the movie industry and the TV shows industry, it's also the gaming industry. And there are people online crashing out whenever you say you don't care about something that's coming out or you don't like it. Then people are like, well, you're just an idiot then. I'm not the one crashing out. I'm not the one acting like an idiot. I'm not the one who loves these weird corporate companies that are dropping slop right into the troughs, man. And they're eating it all up. I don't get it. I'm perfectly fine sitting here watching my old movies, playing my old games. Man, I sound like my grandpa. I think the 2000s were probably the best times for media.
But here's the thing, it's not happening this year, like at all. And the problem has been neatly summed up by this article from The Hollywood Reporter that describes the movie Novocaine as leading the worst weekend of the year so far at the box office.
No shit.
I mean, I can't say I'm too surprised to be honest, we're not exactly swimming in unmissable content right now. Take Novocaine for example. Tell me, do you want to see Jack Quaid playing a weak man who gets his arse kicked over and over again?
Isn't that what happened in The Boys? Isn't that just the same character from The Boys? He seems like he's playing the same character even. And I didn't really even like The Boys. The first few episodes of the first season had me, but it tapered off as soon as I realized it was political. And I think everything becoming political is exactly the reason why I don't want to watch anything.
You know, like every other role he's played for the past 5 years. Jesus, I don't know what that dude must have done to anger the powers that be in Hollywood, but it must have been something pretty bad because his entire career seems to have been one long humiliation ritual. Here's a little tip for you, Hollywood. We've had our fill of weak male characters being humiliated and beat down, thank you. Maybe you could try switching things up and writing male leads that don't make us want to throw up in our mouths. Then there's Mickey 17, a misfiring sci-fi comedy with one of the worst cases of TDS outside of Mark Hamill's living room that feels like it was written 10 years ago, cost $120 million.
Everybody who was making these movies right now have terminal cases of TDS and EDS. That's the Elon derangement syndrome. And they're making all their movies about it, and they're putting all these like parallels to real life, and it's gross because they're all wrong and they're all stupid and evil and retarded. And I love talking about it because it's making me a lot of money
To make and has raked in a grand total of 90 million worldwide. Or how about Captain America Brave New World, which is somehow still hanging on in cinemas more than a month after release, probably because there's fuck all left to compete with it. A movie that cost anywhere up to $300 million after all the reshoots, failed to even reach $400 million worldwide, and seems to have disappeared without a trace after its opening weekend, becoming Marvel's first flop of the year. Don't worry though, I suspect it won't be the last. The only
I've never even heard of Thunderbolts. Well, I mean, I've heard of Thunderbolts, but not the movie that's coming out. I've never heard of that. Is that a thing that's coming out this year? Because I had no idea. I also have no idea what's coming out this year at all, except for a few video games that I want to play, like Death Stranding 2.
decent movie out right now is Steven Soderbergh's spy thriller Black Bag, with an all-star cast and a pretty slick screenplay, which for some reason has been lumbered with a non-existent marketing campaign to the point where I didn't even know the movie fucking existed until I saw it on my local cinema listings. Seriously, go watch it if you can and support movies that actually deserve it. Either way though,
the reason these kinds of movies aren't getting any traction is because there's no marketing for it. And when there is marketing for it, it's pushed out by all of the glazing for the bad movies that they want to be super popular, and also they're allowing the hate through because what they want to do is they want to comment on the hate and let that be part of the marketing.
none of this is going to change the fact that the first quarter of 2025 is shaping up to be pretty dismal for Hollywood, with a series of flops and underperformers failing to liven up what's already a pretty slow period. What really made me laugh though was the idea that distributors are holding out hope for Snow White to turn their fortunes around.
Didn't it just get a lower score on IMDb than Dragon Ball Evolution? The king has been dethroned.
To break it to you chaps, but with a projected 50 million opening weekend and some of the worst PR in Hollywood history, something tells me this isn't going to be the box office savior you're hoping for. So if not Snow White, then can anything jolt cinemas into life over the next few months? Well, the Minecraft movie's coming out in April, which actually seems to have recovered from that disastrous first trailer to build up some decent momentum. Generally these days,
Except it's barely coming back. It looks like a travesty to actual Minecraft fans. I love Minecraft. Minecraft is in my top 5 favorite games of all time. This movie looks like a joke. It looks like it's making fun of people who actually like Minecraft. And I understand it's made for children, but like, why is everything made for children trying to teach children to be retarded?
I see Jack Black movies as the place where comedy and entertainment go to die, but the Minecraft brand is so strong that it's probably going to do well with kids at least. Thunderbolts seems neatly positioned to be another Marvel dud. Tonally it looks broadly in line with Brave New World, lots of clandestine missions and government conspiracies, only without the big name stars and recognisable characters, so I've got no idea what Marvel thinks the actual draw is supposed to be.
It looks like a CW, like, drama thriller. It looks like a TV show from, like, 2014 that would have been on the WB, which turned into the CW for some reason.
Hey, want to watch a film about a bunch of second-rate rejects from movies and TV shows you can barely remember, who aren't big enough to support their own solo flicks? Didn't think so. Mission Impossible's probably going to do well in May, even though it's coming off the back of Dead Reckoning, if for no other reason than it's likely Tom Cruise's final outing in the franchise. Although fuck me, that guy's probably still going to be doing action flicks when he's like 80 years old. For some reason, all the big hitters seem to be sandwiched into July, with Superman, Fantastic Four, and Jurassic World Rebirth duking it out for box office supremacy. And honestly, I wouldn't want to take bets on who's going to win this one. The Jurassic World movies have all been strong performers. Damn man, even a retarded bag of shit like Dominion somehow topped $1 billion, so there's a pretty strong chance that Rebirth might end up sweeping the superhero movies aside altogether.
Honestly, about the Jurassic World stuff, I don't even care that those are big hitters, because the first 3 Jurassic Park movies were kind of bad. The first one, I'll give it that it was like amazing at the time, and I still like that movie. The second and third one though, what was that?
And let's not kid ourselves, if they both flop, that might just spell the end for cape shit movies in general, which have been declining for years by this point. 3 box office bombs in a row would be definitive proof that the MCU has finally burned through all the fan goodwill that it spent a decade building up. On the other hand, Superman failing to launch would be a huge blow to James Gunn's attempt to relaunch DC, which already seems to be on shaky ground the more
I like Superman. I've liked Superman since Mortal Kombat 8, when it was the like Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. And nothing since then has really grabbed my interest. And this new one looks really boring. It looks like it's not going to be anywhere near Man of Steel, and apparently Superman fans don't like Man of Steel. I liked Man of Steel.
I learn about it. One way or another, July is going to be a make or break month for a lot of different franchises, and while there's always a chance that two big superhero movies released around the same time might end up creating a Barbenheimer effect where they build each other up instead of cannibalizing each other's audience, I don't get the impression that we're heading in that direction. The fact is, there's just not that much to get excited about at the cinema this year. 2025 is mostly another year dominated by sequels and franchises that feel increasingly tired and played out. Speaking of which, there's another Avatar movie coming out in December to round out the year.
Dude, we are so cooked. Oh, we're not. We're gonna still be watching stuff. It's just these companies making this content. They're cooked. Too bad they have ownership on a lot of our franchises. Let's just go back to X-Men 1 and 2 days. Let's make movies like that again.
Another 3-hour James Cameron tech demo that's probably gonna rake in a shit zillion dollars, make absolutely zero cultural impact, and be forgotten about within a matter of weeks. The movie equivalent of a fast food meal.
We're gonna get a lot of people saying, oh, this movie is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. And I heard people say that about Avatar: The Way of Water. And now nobody talks about it. People still talk about the first Avatar because it had serious cultural impact. And it was a very beautiful movie. I watched Avatar: The Way of Water. I have the movie. I don't remember any of it. The only thing I remember is Ubisoft made a game and it crashed.
Seriously, how can a guy who gave us Terminator, Aliens, and Titanic devote so much of his life and career to something so fucking shallow?
Because it made a lot of money in marketing and merchandise. I remember when Avatar 1 came out, there was so much merchandise. More merchandise than Star Wars at the time.
Anyway, whatever. If he wants to spend the back half of his career churning out movies that nobody's ever going to remember, I'm not going to defend him for it. The point I'm making here is that the sluggish start to the year, coupled with the complete lack of interest in awards season, feels like a symptom of a larger problem in the movie industry right now. There's just no anticipation, no real excitement for anything new, no sense of a shared cultural experience that we can't wait to talk about. There's a kind of weariness that's settled over the film industry these past few years, an apathy, an inertia, like everyone's basically out of ideas, the occasional attempts at something new are all failing, and so
Well, they're not out of ideas, they're out of risks to take because risks are risky. And the only way to make something good is to take risks and make something interesting. They have to follow a checklist so they don't anger the people they don't want to anger, which is a minority. I don't even understand why they're even trying to grab that audience. They think that their original audience is bad and that they're all racist and sexist and homophobic. Because whenever they release a bad movie, people say it's bad. And they're like, no, it's not bad. You just are out to get us.
all just waiting around for the next big trend to jump on. The problem is that nobody's quite sure what it's going to be, when it's coming, or has the balls to actually take a risk and make it happen. So instead, we're stuck in this awkward holding pattern, churning out sequels to aging franchises just to keep kicking the can down the road a little while longer, waiting for something or someone to shake things up. I don't know when or if that's ever going to happen, but what I do know is that if the Hollywood system even hopes...
I saw that Alita Battle Angel. Hold up. That movie does need a sequel. I don't know why that, out of all of the movies, Alita Battle Angel needs a sequel. All the movies that need sequels and remakes, they're not gonna do. All the ones that you don't want are the ones that they're doing because they think that they know better than their audience what the audience wants. And sometimes that's true. Most of the time it's not whenever you keep releasing Avengers movies over and over and over and over and over again, and Spider-Man movies that have nothing to do with Spider-Man. You know what? We're gonna do a third Fantastic Four reboot. Why not?
To survive the next few years, they need to find a solution pretty fucking fast.
It's Hollywood, baby.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Dude, I don't know how we're gonna recover from this. We used to be known worldwide as the place that churns out the best movies. And now it's turning into Japan and Korea. Japan and Korea are out-movieing us. And they don't even have as good effects. Well, compared to what we used to have. What we have now is getting blown out of the water with the practical digital effects. They use practical effects and then digitize over them a lot in Japanese movies and TV shows. And it looks fantastic. It looks super over the top realistic. Not computerized graphics where you can tell that it's all CG. And it's really uncanny whenever you see CG on top of realistic looking backgrounds. So, you know what they did instead? Oh, let's just make everything CG. You can't tell if something's not realistic if it's CG on top of CG. Spy Kids 3 had more charm than all of this crap that looks the same. And that's all I'm going to talk about that. Leave a like and subscribe.
Wishing on time, stand still, lights out, run high. Keep your lying eyes closed tonight. Visions are ghastly. Welcome fire, higher and higher. Night will last forever.